On this episode, yes, we are live this time, and we are going to play our interviews from the 2019 NRA Annual Meetings. We will have Amy Kremer. We will have Orin Julie, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and Steve Horsman with Springfield Armory. So, all that, and I guess a little bit more on some other things as well on this episode of TrendChat.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that, from the road to your ears. This is TrendChat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
And welcome to another episode of TrendChat. I am your host, Brian Bledsoe. And if you want to connect with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's all the same name, TrendChat 24/7. And we really appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe. We are available on Google Play, Google Podcasts, I guess that's what it's called now, Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia, iHeartRadio, whatever you want to call that, Spotify, and other popular podcast outlets that we can't name because we just don't know where. So we also just want to thank 1776united.com for their support and want to definitely give them a shout out because we wore some of the hats and shirts to the NRA Annual Meetings this past weekend. And, some people were saying, hey, that's a cool hat. I like that shirt. Where you get it from? And I had the card ready saying 1776 United. And I gave them the code, which I will give you now, is 76 Militia TrendChat. And as I told them, and I'll tell you now, this get you 20% off your first purchase. So you go in there, check out what they have. Pretty sure you'll like it. And when you go to the shopping cart and when you time to check out, put in that code, you get 20% off your first purchase. So, well, before we get into the whole everything with the interviews from the annual meetings, for one, I started off because I guess if you heard the last episode, we kind of did a really quick episode. I mean, it wasn't rushed or anything. Not so much. I mean, at the very end, it kind of was. But we did our episode like about 10 minutes before we went to see Avengers Endgame. And so in that time, I've seen it twice already. And it was great. I mean, look, for one, if you're invested, if you've been watching all these films and have, gotten yourself familiar with the story and everything, you're definitely going to enjoy this a whole lot better if you haven't watched it at none of the films or maybe a couple of them. But again, it was a great film. I enjoyed it immensely, and I plan on watching it probably a number more times while it's in the theater. And that being said, I remember mentioning last week that I was thinking, okay, Infinity War last year made 640, around that much globally in the opening weekend. So I was thinking, okay, obviously it's going to make more than that. And I was saying maybe 700 to 800 million. And I gave an outside chance that it may make $1 billion. And lo and behold, not only did it make $1 billion, it made $1.2 billion, $1.2 billion, which that is just astronomical, just outstanding. I mean, that's just amazing to have a movie make that much money in just the weekend alone. The first couple of days that the movie has been out. I mean, just think of it like this. 99% of studios would just love to get a $200 opening weekend. $200 million opening weekend. They would love that. Not only did Avengers Endgame get $200 million, they got another billion on top of that. So, yeah, I'm not going to go too much more into it, really, mainly because I don't want to, give out any spoilers for the people who still haven't seen it yet. Because, I may slip up and say something, especially getting excited talking about it. But yeah, it was I really enjoyed it, and I might just talk more about it on Thursday, even if we have an episode on Thursday. We're still wondering if we are or not at this moment. So, yeah, so I just wanted to bring that out. And also, it's funny because if you looked at the list of the top 5 movies, so obviously Avengers Endgame is at the top, way up top, way above everyone else. But the funny thing else, number 2 was Captain Marvel, which was kind of funny because Captain Marvel has been out for like 8 weeks, and then all of a sudden it rose to number 2 behind Avengers out of nowhere, which that's something I don't think I've ever seen, where another movie boosts a movie that's been out a couple of weeks before it. Well, maybe last year, maybe I don't know, maybe Avengers Infinity War, maybe that boosted Black Panther last year. I don't know. I haven't really looked back at that. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to get into all this. So, because we need to make sure we have time for our interview. So, like I said, we're going to play our interviews from the NRA Annual Meetings. And for one, I had a great time at the meetings, and this was my first year as a member, even though I became a member like at the end of last year's annual meetings. But this time I was able to go to the meeting and all that. So, I'll bring up some of that later on. But, so first we're going to speak with Amy Kremer first. And it's funny because, the first political event I ever became a part of or attended, because even though in 2008 I knew where I guess you could say I switched and started voting Republican in 2008, but I wasn't really getting involved. I was just I was just aware as far as what was going on as opposed to like really participating and being part of a Tea Party. So I think maybe this was 2010, and the first political rally I ever attended was a Tea Party Express rally in Waco, Texas. And Amy Kremer was, a big part of that. And it was, cool to get a chance to talk with her. So our first guest will be with Amy Kremer, and I actually bring it up in the interview. And then after that, we will talk with the Queen of Guns, Orin Julie. So after a word from Politichicks, we'll get started with our interviews. Hello, this is Brian Bledsoe, host of TrendChat, also contributor at Politichicks.com. Here to tell you about the new book called Politichicks, A Clarion Call to Political Activism, with over 300 pages from contributors like myself, talking about topics such as education, social issues, healthcare, the Second Amendment, and of course, activism. I encourage you all to check it out at Politichicks.com, and is also available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Hello, this is TrendChat. We are very pleased to have Amy Kremer with us. She is the chair for Women for Trump. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you? It's great to be here in Indy at the NRA, the big annual meeting and convention with all these freedom-loving Americans.
And so what brings Women for Trump to the NRA annual meetings?
So this is our first time here. It's been an amazing experience. The people here absolutely love our president. And the president spoke on Friday. We did not see him. We actually thought we were going to be able to see him, and we thought it was going to slow down so several of us could go, but it never slowed down. But we're here because we are focused on 2020 and, getting people out and engaged. There's so much Trump derangement syndrome right now, and people have kind of have withdrawn and into their own lives and their own houses and aren't getting out because they're afraid of somebody knocking their MAGA hat off their head or ramming their car, keying their car, whatever. So we're out here just letting people know that we're out here and encouraging people to be engaged and to don't be afraid. I mean, if we're going to stand up and protect the Constitution and this republic, we can't be afraid to wear our MAGA hats.
So being here at the annual meeting, so obviously we're meeting a lot of people who love the Second Amendment. So how the reception been as far as being here and meeting, especially women meeting here?
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. So many people. I mean, they see the president with his rallies and the Women for Trump signs behind him, but they don't realize there's actually an organization, Women for Trump, that's supporting him, and that's our sole purpose is to support the president. So they're excited to be here. We've had people from California, Texas. I mean, they've been from all over the country, Wyoming, Colorado, and they're excited about Women for Trump, and they're more excited about this president because he's standing up for what people want. And so it's great to be here at the NRA. Like I said, it's our first time doing this, but it's been a great experience, and we definitely will be back next year.
Okay, so the first experience ever at the NRA Annual Meetings?
Yes, first experience ever at the NRA meeting. So, what a fantastic weekend.
Well, I would want to ask about your experience in general, because this is a huge exhibit floor, but I don't know if you were able to to see all of this here. But I guess let me ask still how the whole experience been.
It's been an amazing experience, and actually we had Jonathan Gillum here on Friday, who is former Navy SEAL and FBI, I believe. He fills in for Hannity a lot, but he did a book signing at our booth, and when he got here Friday morning, I had to go meet him because I had his credentials to get in, and I found him finally, but I got lost. I was totally turned around, and it was like, oh my God, this place is huge. You don't realize how big it is. I think they say 15 acres, and so many people. I don't know how many people were here this weekend, but I know that last year in Dallas they had like 87,000. So yeah, it's been a great experience, and like I said, we'll definitely be back next year. I think it's going to be in Nashville next year.
Yep, it's going to be in Nashville, and we look forward to being there as well. So what are future events, anything coming up?
Yeah, so we've been doing these luncheons around the country, Heels on, Gloves Off. We did a big summit in D.C. last October that was fantastic, and then we're doing our luncheons. We're doing these luncheons, Heels on, Gloves Off. We just did one in Raleigh where we had 250 people there. We put it together quickly. We didn't expect that many people to be there, but they turned out men and women, because men too want to just be with other Trump supporters and talk about their love for this president. So, yeah, and the thing about it is that the one thing we heard, the event was supposed to be from 11 to 2 in the afternoon on a Thursday. People started showing up at 9 a.m. and at 5 p.m. the country club was having to kick us out of there because they had another event. But the one thing we kept hearing is, thank you so much for coming, because I was starting to feel that I was totally alone in my support of this president, because if you watch the news, they don't talk about the millions of people that are out there supporting this president. So, these women and men were like, thank you for coming. You gave me the energy and the enthusiasm I need to go out there and talk to other people about why the president and his policies are good for America. What was really interesting about that event, the 250 people, we asked them how many were former Democrats, and a third of the room stood up and they were former Democrats. So listen, his policies are good for America. It's like a rising tide, it lifts all boats, and they see, they're feeling it in their pocketbooks. They feel safer than they've ever felt before. They know that this president's fighting for everyday average Americans, and so it was really encouraging. And what we're going to do is continue to go do these events to bring people together and give them the information that they need to go out there and talk to others and encourage others to be bold and strong.
All right. So if people want to connect with Women for Trump on social media and the website, where would they go? WomenForTrump.com, and we're Women for Trump on Twitter. On Facebook, we are Women Vote Trump, but both accounts are verified on Twitter and Facebook, and you can connect to those through our website. All right. And the last thing, I know you were a very big part of Tea Party Express, and I just want to say the very first political event I ever attended was Tea Party Express 4 in Waco, Texas. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing, and from that, here I am doing a podcast talking to you.
Well, thank you. And I was never political before. I'm a former flight attendant, and I got involved. I'm one of the founders of the Modern Day Tea Party. So, the Tea Party got a lot of people engaged, and look at us now. Here we are, fighting for what we believe in. So good for you. I encourage you to keep up the good work, and let's make America great again.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
What's going on, folks? This is Colin Noir, and you're listening to TrendChat.
Hello, this is TrendChat, and we are very pleased to have the Queen of Guns, Orin Julie, with us. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you so much.
So, well, first off, Queen of Guns, where did that come from?
I love guns, and I am a queen, so I'm the Queen of Guns. It's very simple. I call myself like this, and now people call me like this.
If people, I guess, want to know a little bit about you as far as starting in the whole two-way community, so I guess give us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I served 3 years as a combat soldier in the IDF. I fell in love with all the army and tactical stuff and guns, and I really wanted to do something that is related to guns and to promote the women's rights with guns. In Israel, I give lectures to young women that are going to be in combat roles. I do a lot of reserve duty, combat reserve duty, and I just really love Israel, the IDF, and the United States, and this is very important for me to promote the gun culture.
Okay, and one thing that we found out that you own a company called Alpha Gun Angels. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us about that.
My company was founded like 7 months ago. It's pretty new, but we are going very good. I'm doing social media marketing for gun companies. We create content, we promote the gun industry on our social media. The problem with the gun industry and social media that you cannot do pay promotion, they block accounts, they taking off our engagement and everything. So we are the backdoor. We have 20 million organic views a week, and this is a lot. So companies use us to promote them, to help them grow, and this is what we do.
Okay, and over in Israel, what is I guess when it comes to guns, how is it different there than here?
In Israel, when you are in the army, you can carry your rifle 24/7, but when you're done, you can barely own a gun. This is crazy. It's very strict in Israel. People around the world think that Israel is like gun-free. It's no, it's not. But I'm working on it. I'm working on promoting the gun culture in Israel. This is very important for me.
And how is that going?
It's going great, actually. I'm creating awareness. On TV, I was in Survival VIP show in Israel, and a lot of people know me in Israel for what I'm doing. I'm the first doing it in Israel, so this is very huge, and I'm working hard for it.
All right, so now we're here also in the Century Arms booth right now. So I guess tell us a little bit about Century Arms.
I started working with Century Arms like 3 months ago, and we are doing a great job together. They are very, how would I say it in English, a long-time company, you know what I mean? They're very professionals, and I'm trying to help them grow on Instagram.
Well, speaking of Instagram, that's where I saw you, and you have a huge social media presence. And I guess as far as being such an advocate for the Second Amendment and for guns, what do you come across if you have any hurdles as far as with that?
I'm going through a lot of hate speech, like about Palestine and about the IDF. I'm trying very hard to promote the fact that Israel wants peace. We are trying to create peace, but we have to defend ourselves from Gaza and from everything, Hamas and everything. They are throwing rockets at us, and we gotta defend ourselves. We have the right to defend ourselves. So I'm working very hard on promoting the IDF. I work with the IDF spokesman to promote us on social media, so the whole world will know what is going on in Israel, because we have a lot of lies in media. And a lot of bad comments about me promoting the gun culture. People are not understanding that this is so important to know how to protect yourself. we need more good people that know how to protect the area. Because if we put down our guns, the bad guys won't put down their guns. And if you strict guns, the bad guys still own guns. We need to protect ourselves. We cannot live in a dream that everything will be all right.
Yeah, and I guess more specifically, especially being a woman and especially being in the gun culture in general, I have no idea how that is, and I guess I want to ask you as far as what you had to deal with.
At the beginning, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you're just a woman. Leave it. It's not for you. You're a gun bunny. Whatever." I keep on doing what I'm doing, no matter what people are saying. I know that I served 3 years as a combat soldier. I know what I'm doing. I'm going through a lot of shooting courses. It is very important for me to be the best I can. And I don't post with swimwear and guns, and I don't disrespectful the women that do it. But I want to show the world that you can be a beautiful woman and you still love guns. It's fine. You can do whatever you want, and that's it.
Well, I guess in talking about serving in Israel, so it's Israeli Defense Force, correct?
Correct.
Are there any myths that are out there that you kind of want to debunk? I don't really have an idea how it is, and so
women have to serve 2 years. They don't have to be combat, and men should serve 3 years. They don't have to be combat as well. I volunteered to be in combat. I volunteered to do reserve duty, but it's mandatory for everyone to go through basic training, to know how to handle a gun, to know how to protect yourself. And I think this is making us a very mature people.
And that's for all citizens, right? Or is it? Oh.
Yeah. Okay. It's mandatory in Israel to serve.
Oh, okay. See, that's what I was wondering. So that's something I didn't know until you just mentioned. So now, if people want to get in, want to connect with you on social media, where would they go?
You can write on social media, Orin Julie, Queen of Guns, Alpha Gun Angels. This is all me. And I'm promoting. I will keep on promoting the gun culture. This is very important for me. And I would love to have you on my page.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, TrendChat fans. The Founding Project invites you to experience our latest resource to take civics to citizens, TFP's new website. Visit us at www.thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with The Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Join us today.
Politics and other stuff, maybe. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
Hello, this is Trend Chat, and we are very pleased to have Steve Horsman with us with Springfield Armory. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Now, given I always tend to come here the past couple of years because it just comes to turn out that I just own a number of Springfield Armory firearms. I guess gravitate towards Springfield, but I just want to ask you as far as what's new with Springfield.
Okay, so basically what we did this year, the newest things you're going to see here at the NRA show is our St. Victor line. We changed, we kind of upgraded the gun a little bit in the sense of our original free float handguard models not going to exist anymore once those, we sell what we've got of those. But what we do have is we made a longer handguard. So at the SHOT Show we came out with the St. Victor in 223, and it, like I said, that just replaced the free float handguard model. So what we did, a couple upgrades, was it's got a longer handguard. It's got a 15-inch handguard instead of a 12-inch handguard. It's got a muzzle brake on it now instead of a flash hider. Also, what we did is the furniture, other than that's the same, we actually angled the M-lock attachment points on the handguard. And another thing we added to it was we added a straight trigger. So we always had that nickel boron finish trigger in all the Saint line, but what we did is we put a straight trigger in the St. Victor. So the St. Victor, like I said, is replacing the original free float model. So you'll have your original entry-level base Saint model rifle. That's gone unchanged. And then from there, we have taken it to that St. Victor line. So the St. Victor line also encompasses the pistols, the Saint pistols. The handguard change, the triggers, those sorts of things. So that was the newest thing we came out with at the SHOT Show a few months ago.
Now, I'm like I mentioned, I want to get like really basic on. So you mentioned the handguard. So what are the advantages as far as having a free flow, as far as in like the difference in the handguards and all that?
Okay, so for most of the people, you don't really need a free float handguard. And what the free float handguard does for you, it takes any contact points off of the barrel. So like with our original Saint, there's a couple contact points, such as where the A2 style of front sight is. Also the Delta ring attachment's typically not as solid in the sense of building a gun that's accurate, because if you push on the handguard of the original Saint model, you've got a couple contact points, that Delta ring. Also, you've got the front sight. So if people are like going and shooting the gun off a barricade, for example, if you put that original handguard on a barricade and push hard on it, you could actually throw your bullet's impact off, okay? Whereas with the free float model, what you've got is there's only one attachment point. That's where the barrel nut is, okay? It attaches it to the upper receiver. So when you grab onto the handguard itself, and maybe you brace yourself on a barricade or a port or a hard object, and you can actually put pressure on the handguard, it's not going to affect your bullet's impact like it would with the traditional, handguard. It's kind of set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just things for me as someone that's still, even though this is like my third year, but I'm still learning. I'm learning everything as much as possible, and I always want to ask some of the basic questions that I'm pretty sure most people probably already know, but it's just stuff. Little things. Actually, another thing is that, so you mentioned about a straight trigger,
right?
And so what's the difference? Cause I know I have one that's not straight, and so what is the difference or the advantages as far as having a straight trigger or whatnot?
And it's all really personal preference. So what we did we still have the original curved trigger. That's the traditional style. But what we did was we said, okay, how can we improve the trigger without costing the end user more money? So essentially what we did is we just made a trigger flat and straight, but what we did is we put a small little bend in the bottom of it. So what it does is it actually tricks your finger, or tricks your brain into thinking the trigger's lighter, because essentially what you're doing is you're bringing your finger down further on the bottom of the trigger, so the leverage now takes less pressure to actually move the trigger and fire it. So without costing the end user any more money on the price of the rifle, you get a better trigger without any cost. It's got the same nickel boron finish that all the rest of the Saint line has, but once you shoot a straight trigger, you realize, wow, this feels a lot different, and most people, I find, like it better.
Okay, and I hope to get a chance to take a look at it, and get a feel for it myself. Now, as far as I know one in particular with the Victor, I saw what is a 308
yes,
model.
We just announced the 308 this week.
Yeah.
So it's new for consumers to see here. We started shipping them to dealers this week, but they should be for sale. Getting to dealers like today. So the St. Victor in 308 is completely new for us, but it's just a bigger version of the original Saint. So what it was we always wanted to have a 308. I mean, it's kind of the next evolution for a company getting into the AR platform market. So what we wanted to do was build a gun that was not only usable, it would be lightweight, it would be reliable, durable, dependable, but give you the features that you want, that you wouldn't have to go out and add stuff to it. So it already comes with the free float handguard. In the Victor line, you'll notice there's no Picatinny rail on the top part of the handguard, because a lot of people that shoot, you've kind of gravitated towards this kind of the C-clamp style of hold with your support arm. So what we did is, a lot of people don't want that Picatinny rail on there because it just kind of irritates their thumb or whatever. So we kind of eliminated that, but it also does come with flip up front and rear sight. It comes with that same flat nickel boron trigger that's on all the Saints now. It's got a 15-inch handguard. It's got a 16-inch lightweight barrel, 1 in 10 twist. The gun itself weighs 7 pounds and 11 ounces total, and it uses PMags. It comes with one 20-round PMag, depending on what states you live in. Most states can still have 20-round mags, but if not, it ships with a 10-round mag. But that was what we wanted to do, is we wanted to make that PMag compatible, because magazines are inexpensive and they're really good. So that was kind of the idea behind us. And of course, the 308, for virtually everything, the 308 does better than a 223. The one thing that it doesn't do is it does have more recoil. So, but other than that, it came with our proprietary muzzle brake on it, and it's just a really slick, easy shooting, reliable package that delivers a lot of power.
All right, so I guess if people want to get want more information on Springfield Armory, where would they go in social media? I guess
You can go to we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram. You can just check out the website. It's springfield-armory.com.
All right, thanks so much for your time.
All right, you got it.
This is Dana Lash, and you're listening to TrendChat.
Hello, this is TrendChat here at the NRA Annual Meetings in 2019, and we're very pleased to have a returning guest, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Brian. Good to be with you.
I guess first thing, 2 years ago, we met and had an interview at the prayer breakfast, and the latest one is just ended. So I guess give people a taste of what they missed.
Well, we talked about faith, family, and freedom. I think that those are fundamentals, and when you look at, the National Rifle Association and the fact that we realize, our first liberty is the freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. And then you also have the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, free press, the right to redress your grievances to the government, petition your government for redress of grievances, actually. But it's all backed up by the Second Amendment. When you look at what has happened in Venezuela, think about all the rights and freedoms that those individuals once had. And as soon as Hugo Chavez, disarmed them, I mean, he banned private gun ownership in 2012. Then they became subjects. They were no longer citizens. And when you, as Ken Blackwell talked about today, these rights that we have, the inalienable rights, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, they're not from man. They're from our Creator. They're from God, and we need to get back to understanding those things. So it was a great prayer breakfast. My dear friend, Honorable Ken Blackwell, did an incredible job, talking from Hebrews 12:1, from Ephesians chapter 6, 10 through 18, putting on that full armor of God, and then Psalms 11:3, when the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do?
And talking about as far as Venezuela, you actually, I guess, you wrote a book on something kind of similar, kind of telling Texas to not go down that path as well. So I guess tell us a little bit about the book. I know it's been out a while, but
my second book, Hold Texas, Hold the Nation, Victory or Death, came out in October of last year and doing very well. And when you sit and look at what has happened, the greatest export coming out of California is not avocados, wine, or whatever. It's progressive socialism. And so that ideology has overrun Nevada. It has overrun Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and now it's making its way into Texas. And what is so amazing is that people are leaving these failing, blue states, California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, and they're going to successful red states, but they are doing what God told Lot not to do, and that was don't look back. And they're looking back, and they're bringing those principles and values that I guess they were fleeing from. And they are now infecting, those states that were, so successful. It's like a cancer that continues to spread. I call it even a locust effect, where, you go and you chew up fertile ground in there, and then you pick up and fly and go somewhere else and chew it up. So Texas has a big problem because all the major urban population centers in Texas are controlled by, progressive socialist left. And who would ever thought that a guy like Robert Francis or O'Rourke, Julian Castro, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would have anyone showing up to hear her speak in the state of Texas?
And I think as recently as a couple of days ago, Bernie Sanders came by Fort Worth.
Absolutely. Bernie, because Fort Worth is that last place, in Tarrant County. And they almost flipped Tarrant County and Fort Worth back in the last election cycle in November 2018. So now they're after it. And why would a person like Bernie Sanders, an avowed socialist, be welcomed into the state of Texas, which is all about rugged individualism and not collectivism?
It seems like I know, as far as mentioning people coming from all these liberal states coming to a place like Texas, it just seems like either they just don't realize it's sort of their fault as far as what happened in those other states, but they tend to be doing the same thing, and like you said, bringing it back to conservative states like Texas.
Well, Albert Einstein said that that's the definition of insanity, to continue to do the same thing and expect different results. But really, Brian, that shows the delusion and the derangement of progressive socialists, that for whatever reason, they don't get the memo that what you believe in fails. And, again, coming back to, the NRA and our Second Amendment, progressive socialism can only be implemented by coercion, threat, intimidation, mandate, or violence. And so you look at all the socialist dictators, all the left-wing dictators that we've seen in the history of the world. What have they always done? They told people you cannot be able to defend yourselves. And this country, the United States of America, why did they fire the shot that was heard around the world at Lexington Green on April the 19th of 1775? Because the British were marching in to destroy a weapons factory. They wanted to disarm them. And so fast forward 244 years, what do you hear? You hear Eric Swalwell. We're going to institute a mandatory gun buyback program. If you don't participate in it, we're going to come and take your guns. You hear Kamala Harris saying, if I'm elected president and I don't see, gun control legislation, I'm going to use executive order to, supersede and undermine the Second Amendment. So someone wants to use an executive order to take away our individual right that's enshrined in our Bill of Rights, in our rule of law, the Constitution. This is why I'm saying this is a very serious point for the United States of America.
Speaking of the NRA, and we're here at the NRA Annual Meetings, and for me, this was my first year as a member to attend the meeting of members. And so from that, you was able to honor Otis McDonald with the inaugural Roy Ennis Liberty Award. And so, for the people that weren't there, I guess tell us a little bit about Otis McDonald and also the award and everything.
Well, the funny thing is when you talk about the NRA, it is the nation's oldest civil rights organization, founded in 1871, when the Democratic Party was creating the Ku Klux Klan to threaten, intimidate, and enact violence against blacks. It was the NRA, saying that, Second Amendment, 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law, it applies to blacks. They get their Second Amendment right so they can fight off these white supremacists. Otis McDonald was a black man, a soldier who fought in the Korean War. He lived in Chicago. He wanted to be able to protect his life and his family and his property. And so Otis McDonald took the city of Chicago all the way to the Supreme Court to say, I do have a right to have a firearm, a handgun in my house, to be able to protect myself. And we should all, when we talk about, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or all of these many other people, we should be talking about Otis McDonald and what he did, making that stand. But instead of us knowing Otis McDonald, we hear too much about Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton, these charlatans and these imposters. So I hope that, the nation will come to know Otis McDonald, and to be able to present him that Roy Ennis Liberty Award to his wife, to his two daughters, to his granddaughter. I mean, you saw the tears. It was an incredible emotional moment.
Yeah. And speaking in somewhat in light of that, because when it comes to as far as in the black community, when it comes to the Second Amendment, it's just a number of issues that tend to have this thinking that for some reason that people in urban communities shouldn't have firearms.
Well, but think about it, Brian. The people in the urban community shouldn't have firearms. Who controls all these urban communities? The Democrat Party. Who is the party that did not want blacks to be able to be armed and defend themselves? Who is the party that really has always been about, creating a sense of enslavement, being economic enslavement or physical enslavement with the black community? And that's why we got to have this information out there, because there's a horrible misinformation campaign and propaganda that has, created now a 21st century economic plantation. That's what these inner cities have become.
And so what can we do as far as getting over those obstacles as far as
what you're doing? No, seriously, what you're doing. We need more young black conservative voices out there and understand that you do have a power, that you can be a source of information and telling the truth. They're going to call you names and all this type of stuff, but they crucified Jesus. So so you need to be able to go out there and understand you're on the side of right. And you need to just be resolute and forthright and going out and doing exactly what you're doing right now.
Well, I appreciate it. I just try to do what I can. So, but now, going back to your book and where you talked about as far as trying to warn Texas to not go down that route. Now, I know you've been asked this question a million times, but I'm just going to ask it again. So, do you think, as far as as far as what to do politically or how else to help the state of Texas?
Look, I am just a servant of God and country, and God will, He will let me know the direction I should be in. And, I've been blessed with an incredible platform, incredible voice, and the respect of a lot of people. And I take that trust and confidence that people have put into me very seriously. So I don't know. Do you have to be in a political office to stand up for life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, our rule of law, and all the things that make us the great American country that we are? I don't think so. But if God believes that I have to be back into the belly of the beast, then He will make that way plain.
All right. Thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure, Brian.
Hey everyone, this is Amy Robbins with Alexa Athletica, and you're listening to TrendChat.
All right. And thanks to Amy Kremer, Orin Julie, Steve Horsman, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West for joining us. And if you notice, we just played all the interviews back to back to back, basically. And I was thinking about, doing some sort of introduction to each one of them. And then I thought about it. I really talk too much. I tend to ramble, if you haven't noticed by now. And so, and given the fact that we're live, I didn't want to chance it because I had the idea of doing that. Then next thing I know, I would go on too long with each introduction. And next thing I know, I would not have enough time to play everything. And then I've been screwed up the whole episode live. So to keep myself from doing that, I just decided to play all of them and just, come in at the end. And this is it for the annual meetings this year, as far as any more interviews. We will talk. Well, we got a chance to meet up with some people, and we may talk with them later on in the coming weeks. But as far as the interviews that we did at the event, this is it. Now, 2 years ago, I think we did like 3 days, almost 4, I think maybe 4 days, because I had all these interviews. And last year, I think maybe with 2 or 3 days, I forgot. So I guess this year it's going to be just this, 1 day, this episode, I guess. And I was mainly there more as a member this year, as opposed to media, even though I had, a media pass. But I was more just there trying to observe and trying to really understand what is going on, and really going to all the exhibits and kind of still learning, really. Like I mentioned in the interview with Steve, is that I'm still learning as far as when it comes to guns and everything. And my job as a truck driver, well, for one, I don't think I mentioned in the beginning, we are broadcasting from Columbus, Ohio, so tonight. So as a truck driver, I'm pretty much hindered as far as being able to have firearms on me all the time, because I drive across state lines and we don't have national reciprocity. And even if we did have national reciprocity, then we have to worry about the DOT, Department of Transportation, and other things as far as commercial drivers. And so, yeah, it's a lot. So that hinders me from really being able to practice as much as I would like to. And so, but I try to learn as far as just listening and watching YouTube clips and other things and trying to learn that way. And so I was doing a lot of that and still trying to learn as far as what I need to be more proficient in learning about firearms. So we're all still looking to go next year in Nashville. Definitely looking forward to that, especially if it's going to be in that nice convention center that they have in downtown Nashville, which is a nice place. We were there a couple of years ago for another event. So anyway, we'll be back maybe on Thursday. We might have an announcement, not for us, but maybe for one of our guests. We might have some breaking news or something like that. But we'll know in a couple of days. So until maybe Thursday or next week, we'll chat with you later.